So, starting with AI, Harmelin continues to monitor AI, and we recently hosted a webinar led by our CTO, Connor, who is our in house AI guru. So, in this first chart, you can see we're looking at the rate of adoption by industry. This specific survey was conducted among professionals in the US, and it should come as no surprise that 37% of people working in advertising or marketing said that they had used AI to assist with work related tasks. And then you can see on the opposite end of that spectrum, with just 15%, is healthcare. So while healthcare has seen AI advancements, they aren't as prominent. And also, the rate of adoption in marketing and advertising is understandable because it's an industry that incorporates art and creative mediums in its processes. I won't go too deep into any of the specifics here, but currently the top areas of use when it comes to AI in marketing is copywriting for both email and within social media. And since generative AI is still a newer concept and people are wrapping their heads around what it is, how it impacts their lives, it's important to understand the general sentiment around brands' use of AI. So Dentsu conducted a survey via Toluna to understand public opinion around brands using AI. In general, there's more support, but it obviously varies depending on use. So, for example, 61% of consumers support brands using generative AI to design products and services, while 22% oppose this idea. And where we see the gap kind of shrink between support and opposition is when it comes to customer service support. 51% of respondents say they support the use of AI, while 34% are opposed. If you've ever had to deal with the chatbot for Amazon after a package says it's been delivered, but it's nowhere to be found, I'm sure you have your own opinions, because I know I sure do. So while consumers have varying feelings around individual use cases, the fact that brands are using generative AI can also sway opinions overall. In fact, 42% of respondents said that they would prefer brands that use AI to design products and services over ones that do not. And millennials are most likely to be in that demographic of people preferring brands who are using AI. So while we're talking about public opinion, it's imperative to understand overall awareness, which obviously can impact opinion. So based on the same survey mentioned on the previous slide, the majority, or 87% of consumers, say they have heard of AI, but only 61% claim to somewhat understand what generative AI is and how it works. And as we move deeper into interest and use, the percentages shrink even further, with 42% saying they are interested in the technology, and just over a quarter, or 27%, of people saying that they have used generative AI tools. On the positive side, consumers are most excited about AI applications that can enhance day to day life, like helping with daily tasks, improving accessibility for those with disabilities, and automating repetitive tasks, which is the one that I'm personally excited for. So while there's different use cases that are supported when it comes to AI, there's still growing concerns. According to Pew Research, 52% of Americans say they are more concerned than excited about the increased use of AI. Concern about AI outweighs the excitement across all demos, but there are a few notable differences, especially by age. 61% of adults 65 plus are mostly concerned about the growing use of AI in daily life, while only 4% are mostly excited. And then we look at a younger age group of 18 to 29. Those who are more concerned drops down to 42%, while 17% are more excited. One of the biggest factors when it comes to concern is the idea of trust. 70% of Americans say that they have little or even no trust in companies to make responsible decisions about how they use AI in their products. 81% say information collected will be used in ways they're not comfortable with, and 80% say it will be used in ways that were not originally intended. However, 62% of those who have heard of AI say companies using it to analyze personal details could make life easier. The Consumer Technology Association released findings from their survey earlier this month that found similar information around mixed consumer sentiment. While those who are familiar with AI tend to view it from a positive angle, seeing it as innovative, futuristic, and even intelligent, there's a large majority of people who have concerns. They found more than 60% of respondents were concerned about privacy, disinformation, and safety. In fact, 70% of consumers with some AI familiarity believe the federal government should take the lead and establish safety-focused regulation. It's important to keep in mind that generative AI is a trend that's still in its early stages, so it'll be interesting to track how consumer sentiment changes as AI matures and finds its way in our daily lives. And not to put another plug in there, but this is a trend you'll hear even more about if you join our Media Trends webinar. So stay tuned for that. Another consumer trend that we have discussed in past consumer trends presentations is the idea of always shopping, and we're seeing many companies capitalize on this idea. So this chart's from eMarketer, and it's showing US shoppable media buyers in millions. Just to break this down, because shoppable media buyers means nothing to me. So eMarketer is defining that as people 14 plus who have made at least one purchase during the calendar year after consuming online media content with an immediate purchase option embedded in or adjacent to the content. So this doesn't include search ads or product listings. And eMarketer is anticipating this figure to grow to nearly 109 million in 2027. So year-over-year growth is expected to remain fairly consistent around 3%. And what's interesting about this idea of always shopping is it's also changed things like social media. Initially, we were using social media, obviously, as it's kind of intended to interact with friends, family, or just people in general. But now it's becoming its own kind of marketplace, and it's changing how people interact with social media entirely. Gartner identified this trend and went as far as to say social media has never been less social. It's leading people to post less and find other ways to connect with friends and family. So this is a perfect example of how a piece of technology was developed for a certain purpose, but has morphed over the years into something almost entirely different. So as I mentioned briefly, companies are seeing this trend of consumers always shopping, and we've seen many OTT partnerships and integrations as a result. Here we've called out just a few of these, including Roku and Shopify, where viewers are able to press OK on their remotes to access product information and make purchases without ever having to leave the platform. And according to Roku's internal data, nearly 57% of Roku viewers have paused an ad to shop a product online. Another partnership that I'm currently inundated with is the one between Walmart and NBCU. I'm a big Peacock person, so now when I watch Below Deck, I have Captain Sandy popping on my screen during the commercial break. Usually there's a QR code and she's talking to me about dishes or bedding that's available at Walmart and trying to relate these products back to the luxurious experiences I'm watching unfold on her yacht. Vizio and Home Depot had launched a shoppable content series around the holidays called Merry and Bright, showcasing how families could use Home Depot products to decorate their homes for the holidays. And QR codes took viewers to a Shop the Look page. So while these are a few of the brands who have currently partnered up, we expect to see others follow suit as it's proving to be a growing trend. It allows advertisers and content creators to capitalize on a particular show's popularity to boost sales, while also creating an interactive viewing experience. So yet another trend we are seeing is the idea of buy now, pay later. Bernie talked about the economy earlier, and Sarah spoke to holiday trends where we first heard of this idea of buy now, pay later. So in a world where your money doesn't seem to go as far, how are shoppers expecting to spend more? Well, buy now, pay later could be the answer to this. The idea is simple, that buy now, pay later divides your total purchase into a series of equal installments. Payment plans can come with interest and fees, but it really depends on the provider that you're using. And a good example of this is IKEA, who recently announced the launch of its Pay in 4. This allows customers to pay for IKEA products in 4 installments over 6 weeks. So circling back to holiday shopping, buy now, pay later holiday sales were expected to reach $17 billion in the US in 2023, according to Adobe Analytics. And as you can gather from the chart at the top, Gen Z was expected to be the primary growth driver there since they tend to be tech savvy, but also typically tend to have less discretionary income. And when we talk about the idea of buy now, pay later, it's important to understand how widespread this trend is. Here we focused on a few key industries. Travel seems like a no-brainer since it's typically a higher ticket item, and it's allowing consumers to pay off lavish trips rather than having to come up with the total amount upfront. Retail obviously encompasses a lot, so this could also refer to some higher ticket items. But what's interesting to see is that even groceries are being purchased using deferment plans. So in this chart, you'll notice over half of active buy now, pay later users are doing so for groceries. And this works out to be 10% of total consumers overall. So 10% of all consumers are using a form of buy now, pay later when it comes to groceries. And the emergence of this buy now, pay later in grocery comes as consumers increasingly struggle to make ends meet. So while a huge piece of this is people purchasing items they normally would not be able to afford, some of it's also about the benefits that come along with it. So any rewards programs you might have, you think about the rewards programs associated with some of your existing credit cards. So it's kind of an equal area where people are using it because they see the added value of the rewards, but then obviously there's the other side of it where people just don't have the money up front. And US buy now, pay later payment value is expected to grow at a 14.8% annual rate from 2023 through 2027, according to eMarketer. These are some of the bigger companies in the US, and by the end of 2027, Klarna will lead Affirm, Afterpay, and Zip on annual payment value. Klarna continues to expand buy now, pay later use cases, and most recently they partnered with Airbnb to try to tap into their 300 million guests this year. Klarna has also diversified beyond buy now, pay later by enhancing its open bank platform and building out its shopping app. And as I briefly called out earlier, Gen Z will be the primary growth driver, growing by about 64% from 2023 to 2027. And most of this is due to the fact that it's app-based shopping. So it's a natural fit for Gen Z, but also paired with the idea that they have less discretionary income on average versus the older generations. But older consumers shouldn't be underestimated, according to eMarketer. And right now there's been the marketing has been geared toward younger audiences. An example of this would be Klarna teaming up with ASAP Rocky, but there is the potential within older generations. So we should expect to see shifts in marketing geared toward all generations, not just the Gen Z generation.